All right, homework 3.02. Let's have some fun. All right, so what we're looking at here is basically a lot of cross multiplication, but instead of having one term on top or on the bottom of the fraction, we're looking at two terms. So the main thing that this kind of adds to what we're doing here is there's going to be an extra distribution step. So when we're doing these, we've got 9 parentheses k plus 5 equals 10 parentheses k minus 19. At this point, you're just kind of going through your DCMS steps. So we start by distributing. We get 9k plus 45 equals 10k minus 190. We've got variables on both sides, so generally we move the smaller variable to avoid having to deal with extra negatives. So minus 9k from both sides. 45 equals 1k, or you don't really have to write 1k, you can just write k minus 190. Add 190 to both sides, and we end up with k equals 235. All right, so let's try the next one here. All right, so again, same exact principle here. This one's actually a little easier because there's only one distribution that we're going to have to do. We've got 1 times 3, and then we've got 2 times c plus 5. So the 1 times 3 is pretty easy. That's just 3 equals 2 parentheses c plus 5. Then we just kind of go through and do our distribution steps. So we've got 3 equals 2c plus 10. Right? There's only a variable on one side, so at this point we're kind of just standard equation solving. Subtract 10 from both sides. 3 minus 10, just make sure you're paying attention on this. It's not positive 7. It's going to be negative 7 equals 2c. Divide both sides by 2, and you end up with a negative 3.5 equals c. All right. Moving on to number 3 here. I guess I must have been feeling nice because these are just kind of the simple ones that we started with. You've just got 9 times 8. And you've got 4 times x, so we end up with 4x. Remember that equal sign just comes right down. Equals 8 times 9, 72. Divide both sides by 4. X equals 18. All right, and then finally the last one on the front here. Same sort of stuff. There's no distribution going on here. It's just negative 1 times x. 2 times 7, so that's going to be 14 equals, you can either write this as negative x or negative 1 times x, whichever way you like thinking about it. Either way, we can't leave that negative there, so we divide both sides by negative 1, and you end up with negative 14 equals x. Okay, let's take a look at the back where we actually have some of the word problems for this unit. So, if we look at this first one, it says a canary's heart beats 200 times in 12 seconds. Determine how many times its heart beats in 42 seconds. Okay? So what we've got going on here is we want to kind of make ourselves a key. We've got 2 units. We've got beats and we've got seconds. It doesn't matter which one we put on top, but one's got to go on the top and one's got to go on the bottom. So I'm going to put beats over seconds here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use this key to set up our proportion. We said that beats goes on top, so we're going to say, all right, 200 beats in 12 seconds. So far we're keeping with our key. We've got beats on top, we've got beats on top, we've got seconds on the bottom, we've got seconds on the bottom, equals, and then we're trying to figure out how many times its heart beats in just 42 seconds. So in this case, the 42 is going to go on the bottom, and our x is going to go on top. So when we get our answer is going to be in beats. 200 is in beats. Our key has beats on the top. Seconds is on the bottom. This is referring to 12 seconds. This is referring to 42 seconds. So our units are consistent all the way across. Once we have it set up, then it's our cross multiplication. So 12 times x is 12x. 200 times 42 is 8,400. Divide both sides by 12. Divide both sides by 12. X is going to equal 700. All right, so let's try that again for number 6 here. On a trip, you travel 128 miles in 2 hours. Going the same speed, how long would it take to travel 160 miles? Okay, so again, the same principle going on here. We've got 2 units. We've got miles and we've got hours. So we're going to set up ourselves a little key. I'm going to put miles over hours. Now the first part tells us that we go 128 miles in 2 hours. So there, we've got that right there. The next part says how long will it take to travel 160 miles? All right, so 160 is referring to miles, so that goes on top. Miles, miles, miles. Hours, hours, and then the x is also going to be hours because that's how long we're traveling for. Once you have this set up, we're just cross-multiplying. 160 times 2 is 320. 128 times x is 128x. Divide both sides by 128. Divide both sides by 128. And we're going to end up with x equals 2.5. And in this case, we're talking about hours. So if you want to put the unit on there, you can, 2.5 hours. All right? But there you go. That's homework 3.02. I hope this video helped. Have a good day.